By the end of this video, you're going to know the exact framework around building the psychology behind weight loss success. So weight loss is all about eating smarter, sleeping deeper, and moving more, right? So why are we talking about psychology? Well, let's take a second and look at the facts. So in 2020, obesity rates in the United States were the highest they have ever been, at rates of over 40%. But at the same time, we now have an incredible amount of information all at our fingertips. We can research how to eat right, we can research the right exercises, we can research how to get deeper sleep. So why are we getting fatter and fatter? So the truth is, you could have access to the best information in the world, but if you don't have the right psychology around weight loss, you're not gonna see success. You're gonna self-sabotage, you're not gonna be consistent, and you're gonna struggle doing the things that you need to in order to lose weight and keep it off. So in this video, we're gonna dive into the shifts that you need to your psychology in order to sustain results. Now, this is one of the shifts that one of our students, Austin, had. Austin was the type of person to count all his calories. He was always struggling to maintain under his daily average. And as soon as he had some of these shifts with his psychology, he actually started to struggle, not with keeping his calories under his goal, but actually going up to his caloric goal. And so this stuff works. Utilize these three principles and you're gonna see massive changes in how you actually operate when it comes to losing weight. So the first strategy around psychology that we're gonna talk about is not focusing on the outcome. And so to illustrate what we're about to talk about and to help you understand the concept, we're gonna take a look at something that I like to call the circle of transformation. Now in this circle, we have three different layers. Layer one is going to be where 99% of the population lies, and this is focusing on the outcome. Most people, if they're looking to lose weight, their first instinct is to set a weight loss goal. So if someone is 300 pounds and they are going on a fitness journey, they may set to themselves, hey, I want to get to 225 pounds. And so when they go throughout their day and they start doing all the things necessary in order to lose weight, their end goal or the outcome is going to be the only thing that they have in their mind. So they're doing the things they have to do. They're going to the gym, they're eating healthy. And when they run up against their first roadblock, whether they're having a day where they're unmotivated, or they slip up with their diet, or they do something that throws them off course, most people will end up looking in the mirror, getting insanely frustrated with the lack of results that they see, and go back to the way that they were living. And so this is a massive problem, right? Because if we have to lose 20 pounds and we're keeping our focus on that outcome, that's like standing at the bottom of a mountain, looking all the way at the top and thinking about how much work and effort it's gonna take to get there. And so if focusing on the outcome doesn't work, what happens if we go a level deeper? What happens if we focus on the next portion of the circle, which is the process? Now, this is gonna be where the remaining 0.9% or so of people live, where instead of focusing on their 20-pound goal or their 50-pound goal, they focus on the things that they need to do in order to get to that goal. So for some people, that's how many times they have to go to the gym. For some people, it's the diet they're gonna follow or what they are or aren't gonna eat. But whatever it is, it's focusing more on the steps that they have to take in order to reach their goal. So if they're at the bottom of the mountain, instead of looking at the peak, instead of looking at the top, they're gonna think about how many steps do I need to take? And they're basically just gonna go step by step, right? I have to take this step, then this step, then this step, and it's slowly building up to that outcome. Now, to be honest, this is a pretty good place to be, right? Most people are gonna be able to see results because even if they're a little frustrated or they're not seeing the results that they want, as long as they stay invested in the process and they stay consistent, most people are going to succeed. But even though this is a good place to be, it is not the best place to be, because when people reach the top of that mountain, they haven't built the structure and the foundation that they need to stay there. They have everything in place, but they haven't fully become the person they need to be, which brings us to the final layer of the circle, which is all about identity, right? Who is the person that we need to become in order to achieve and sustain these results? Because I don't care how motivated you are, I don't care how perfect your strategy is, if you don't feel like the person who is healthy, if you don't think like the person who is healthy, you're not gonna be able to sustain those results. Now, identity isn't something that you can just snap your fingers and have. It's something that you do build, and it's something that you have to do and take note of when you are going throughout the process. But when you're making decisions, the question isn't, should I skip this? Is it gonna ruin my results if I skip this? The question is, would the person that I am becoming, so the athlete, the person who's in shape, the person who takes care of their body, the person who's healthy, would that person skip this workout? Would that person eat these foods? And when you can start to approach things from this angle, now all of a sudden you're becoming that person. Now all of a sudden It doesn't feel like an effort to go to the gym or to eat healthy because that's just what you do. It's just part of your life. And so when we're thinking about the psychology around how am I going to approach my weight loss goals, yes, it's a great idea to get that ultimate number that you want to be at in mind. Yes, it's great to know exactly what you have to do and commit to in the process to get there. But the most important aspect is shifting more to focus on who do I need to become? What identity am I leaving behind and who am I stepping into in order to achieve these results? The second portion that we're going to focus on when it comes to shifting our identity is focusing on the 1% principle. So the mistake that most people make when they're going after a certain result is doing everything they possibly can to get there. So someone who has been sitting on the couch every day, who has been eating whatever they want, shifting and now going to the gym 5 days a week and sticking to a very strict diet is too much of a shift to sustain. Because when we think about habits and we think about stepping into that new identity, it isn't about doing everything perfectly. It's about what small shifts can I make daily. And so when you're approaching your weight loss, if you're thinking about changing your entire schedule, if you're thinking about committing 2 more hours every day to going to the gym and working out, you're not going to be able to sustain those results in the long term unless you have really, really strong pain and you build that foundation where you can do that, which to be honest, most people don't have. And so when you're approaching weight loss and you're thinking about how am I going to step into this more fit version of myself, it's not what do I have to do to get there and I'm going to do that all now. It's what small step can I take today that's going to make me 1% better than I was yesterday. And when you take that step, the next day you build on top of that. The next day you build on top of that. And yes, your results are going to come slower because of this. Yes, you're not going to see as good of results as quickly. But these results, when they do come, are going to be built upon a strong foundation, are going to help you build that identity, and ultimately are going to allow you to sustain your results. And so what most people do is they make the mistake of trying to do everything at once, when the psychology here is all about what small things can I build upon today. Because when I build upon them today and then I build upon those tomorrow, ultimately, if I lay a brick down, 1 brick at a time, eventually I'm going to have a castle. And that's the approach that we want to take when we're losing weight. And the third principle of psychology around weight loss is surrounding yourself with the people who are fit. Surrounding yourself with the people that you want to be like. Now, I'm gonna pop up a picture real quick. This is me and my friends. This was probably about 8 or so years ago. And it's very obvious, like this was one of my closest circle of friends. It's very obvious we're all in great shape, right? Because when you're trying to be in shape and you're surrounded by people who are pulling you back or who are asking you why you're not eating as much or why you can't come out tonight instead of getting sleep and going to the gym tomorrow and why you're not being like them, it's so much more difficult to sustain these habits because you're always going to want to revert back to those old patterns. Our environment is one of the strongest things that we have, and so if our environment isn't in alignment with who we want to be, we're fighting an uphill climb, and it's a very, very difficult climb to succeed at because the environment isn't working in your favor. And so if you have the ultimate goal of building the psychology of becoming that person who is fit and who is healthy, one of your #1 priorities should be finding a circle of people who are all doing the same. And so now is a good time to insert a pitch. If you go down in the link of this video, you're actually going to find a link to our private Facebook group for men. This is an awesome place where we're doing weekly extended trainings of these YouTube videos. And of course, it's a great community where guys can work off each other, hold each other accountable, and make sure that they're all continuing to take action. So make sure you check that out. But regardless, no matter what situation you're in, I don't necessarily mean cutting off all your friends if they're not as motivated as you are. I don't necessarily mean flipping the finger to everyone who doesn't believe in you and who is trying to hold you back. What I mean is add on to the friends that you do have. If you have to create some distance of your current friends, that's okay. But find the people who are pushing you to be better and who are pushing you to be fit, right? There's a reason people get better results when they're in a gym community of a class of people or when they're in a group coaching program. And so if you are ultimately looking to keep these results, to build the psychology, to start to think like the person who's fit and to be committed to the process and honestly love the process, finding a community of like-minded people is the best thing that you can do. So those are the 3 things. #1, building your identity. #2, focusing on that 1% principle. And #3, surrounding yourself with like-minded people. So I'd love if you could leave me a comment below. What are your weight loss goals for this year? And of course, give me that number, but if it also helps, give me the process, what you're committing to, and then give me the identity that you're looking to step into. And if you are in that position where you're looking for a strong community of people and you're looking for the support and the necessary steps to get to where you want to be, make sure you go in the description of this video for access to our free course on how to use something that I call EMS Body Mastery to drastically simplify the process of health and to allow you to build the foundation needed to help you see those weight loss results. So with that being said, I appreciate you a ton. Now is the time to take action towards your health. And of course, as always, eat smart, sleep deep, move more, and be grateful for this moment. I'll see you in the next video.